This question comes from Martin Lord 8837. If future RMDs will push me into a higher bracket, I'll just read the actual question here. Eric, you're making a lot of assumptions and confusing people. It's not that complicated. If taking RMDs is going to push you into the 22% bracket and you want to avoid that, then you need to withdraw more traditional money earlier in retirement, provided you have room. If you didn't want the additional income, then you do a Roth conversion. You're going to pay the tax whether you take the extra income or convert. It's just a decision on if you want to spend it now or invest it. It's a good point, except it's wrong. The point is we're not factoring in what I've shown on the whiteboard here. So maybe I didn't do a good job actually teaching this on some of my videos, and maybe this is a good call out for this video. But the point is Roth conversions are never just a flat, it's never a flat evaluation of what you take it out now versus what you take it out later. First, you don't know what you're going to take it out later at. We don't control God and the universe and all sorts of things that could occur. Second, it's you have other things you give up today. And third, you have the premium or the time value premium of a present day dollar versus a future day dollar. And then fourth, you have to ask, can you afford it? Like that's the question. I can illustrate the can you afford it a little more deeply because I see one of the comments in here. I think it's a good comment. It's good to think through these things. One of the comments in here is to the effect of, and I think it's a good comment. It's YT Learner who's doing Roth conversions that it causes a cut to their desired spending. I never heard someone testify such regrets. That's a fair point. I think the underlying kind of thought there is more of like, well, whoever says you can or can't afford a Roth conversion? And I'll give you an illustration because when you pay a cost today, you're pulling money out of an account. Let's say you then have a sequence of negative market returns over the next few years. And I don't know how much you pulled out of your accounts in order to fund Roth conversions for tax you would have paid later. But what you do is you compound sequence of returns and this withdrawal. I showed this in the last video, actually, this kind of compounding effect of both withdrawals and the negative market returns. So we've pulled forward a future expense and we potentially have sequence of returns issues. Now we have a lower balance and now Roth conversions have contributed in a material way potentially because we pulled forward a future expense. We have a lower absolute portfolio value as a result. And the question is, would you regret that? Because now you're going to have a lower starting principal value. And in order to get back to hit upper guardrails and restore quality of life, or in order to get back to portfolio levels that help you sleep at night, it's going to be much harder because you brought forward an expense that you didn't have to pay today. How do we factor that in? Now, I'm not saying this makes it right or wrong. I'm just saying it's confusing. It's difficult. The point that I'm illustrating is nothing is certain. We don't know that we're going to have negative sequence of returns. So I'm not saying anyone should avoid a Roth conversion because of the possible specter of sequence of returns. But what I am saying is we should be thinking about Roth conversions as something we either can or cannot afford. It's like gifting to our kids. If you came to me and said, I want to gift to my kids $20,000 a year, and I come to you and say, but you only have spending capacity that would allow $3,000, you can still gift to your kids the other 17. Your plan's just not going to be a very stable plan because you're going against what the actual recommendation is. Does that make sense? Like anyone can do whatever they want. I'm libertarian that way. I'm never going to make someone feel bad. That's my job to tell them. It's the same with Roth conversions. Now, one of the cases I'd make here is who's doing Roth conversions that it causes a cut to their desired spending. I've never heard someone testify their regrets. That's because we've never been told to think in terms of desired spending and spending capacity. We're just told we think through the conventional financial advisory framework, which is you have a certain amount of portfolio value and a certain amount of withdrawals and a certain Monte Carlo probability. Let's just run it. The problem is Monte Carlo probability is a really poor framework to run Roth conversions through. I'll give you an example. Roth conversions always I'll come back to the example. So the reason that we don't hear those regrets is because people don't know to speak towards those regrets. They've not been informed to think in such a way. But they live with anxiety after. Why are Roth conversions such a hot topic of discussion? It's because everyone's being recommended to do them and nobody knows if they should do them because they're not comfortable with the recommendation. They would be if it felt compelling and there was really good data that supported doing it. But why is that the most common question almost any advisor gets? It's because people don't know if it's actually a good decision, even though they're being told it's a good decision. At least that's how I've chosen to interpret it. All right, so let me give a quick example. I've shared this on YouTube videos on the channel many times. Roth conversions always look more profitable the longer your retirement time horizon is, which is partly creates two problems. One is it's why it's misleading in a Monte Carlo system, because Monte Carlo system shows probability of success, not spending capacity or probability of making an adjustment to your lifestyle. And that will always get hidden by the length of the retirement plan. But the second is, or at least the test that we should run, is we should run Roth conversions and then run 3 tests. We should do the end of life suggested by the planning software and see what the projected value of that Roth conversion would be. We should run the same total Roth conversion and then reduce the life expectancy by 5 years. So if we have an end of life of 95, check what that Roth conversion is worth if you live till 90, and then do the same thing if you live till 85. No change to the actual conversion amount itself. I've done this dozens and dozens of times. We do this for every plan that we quality check, for every plan we deliver to a client. And I can tell you that in most cases, Roth conversions are worth very little to nothing by the time you get to an end of life at 90, and they're almost always a prohibitive cost once you live till 85 instead of 90 or 95. Now, the point in illustrating that is just we don't know when we're going to die. And we get this illusion that Roth conversions are worth something the longer the life expectancy of the plan, and the more detached we are from seeing spending capacity or budget as a material part of the plan in terms of one of the outputs of the plan. Monte Carlo does not output a budget. And so therefore it's hard to connect this back. So I'm not trying to be judgmental. If anything, I'm passionate about educating on this, because if I zoom out for a second, I see retirees have a trust problem that they have to overcome. It's a difficult thing. How do I trust to make this decision to leave my job? And they're riddled with all sorts of details and information they have to understand and to synthesize to make that jump. And if we can contribute in some small way to help reduce the total pool of issues that retirees feel anxiety about, that will have been a win. The problem is the traditional form of educating financial advice doesn't do that, which is why retirees are struggling with anxiety in some cases and wanting to watch YouTube videos and digest all this information, because I think in some sense, and I'll include myself in this bucket of skeptical consumers, we're tired of being told what to do without being told why to do it or giving really clear explanations of why. And we have access to information now. Like, this is the internet age. This isn't the newspaper age. 25 years ago, we couldn't find this information. We had to rely on trust. Now we've known that we don't have to rely only on trust. We want to rely on trust, but we're learning there's a lot more information and it's accessible to us and we can make better decisions. So I'll stop my preaching. I'm going to go back to this and say, and answer at Martin Lord 8837's questions, which are: if future RMDs will push me into a higher bracket, should I deliberately fill lower brackets with withdrawals or Roth conversions before RMDs start? And this is a pretty straightforward question in the sense that you can do 2 things with this. One is, so let's assume you follow the checklist. Sorry, I'm not going to flip it. Let's assume you follow the checklist and determine you can afford it, that the conditions are there for which you will receive a benefit, and that you have, that what you receive is in excess of what you will pay. Then you have 2 ways to address RMDs. One is to do pre-tax withdrawals as a source of living funds in a kind of pro rata withdrawal strategy in the early years of retirement leading up to that timeline. The other is to do Roth conversions. Those are your 2 best bets. I am generally a fan of looking at pro rata pre-tax withdrawals as a source of living money, as long as that doesn't hinder other planning objectives and can be it can be finessed, and in many cases it can. And then doing Roth conversions after after Medicare starts, because the Maggie cliffs are higher. And again, this assumes that people can try to qualify for ACA subsidies. But those are your 2 methods of managing future RMDs. Great question. Thank you for the long-winded way of getting there at Martin Lord. Real quick, let me show you the exact 3-pillar comprehensive retirement roadmap that takes retirees from uncertainty to peace of mind that less than 1% of retirees actually have in place. Now, I've built hundreds of these for retirees, and I can say with a high degree of confidence that these are the 3 pillars every retiree needs to have in place in order to have full confidence that they're not missing anything in their retirement plan. And I broke each of these down by the specific questions. You can see them here that each needs to be answered and the best way to answer them. Now, we've done this across pre-retirees, recent retirees, married couples, single retirees, $1 million portfolios, $10 million portfolios, all the above, and it works. And it's my gift to you today. It's absolutely free. It's in the first link in the description below this video. It's going to say free comprehensive retirement roadmap training. Just click the link, enter your info, and you'll get instant access, all for free.